Welcome to our channel, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 scariest horror movies on Netflix. As of 2022, we'll examine the most horrifying titles the streaming giant offers. Are you brave enough to watch these films? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Creep. Mark Duplass is known for acting in shows like The League and The Morning Show, as well as running a production company with his brother Jay. But he reaches an impressive level of scariness in Creep, which he also co-wrote. This found-footage-style psychological thriller follows Aaron, a videographer traveling to a remote cabin to meet his client, the clearly unstable Joseph. The film has its funny moments given the absurdity of Joseph's requests and his increasingly unsettling behavior. But the overall atmosphere is eerie, and just like Aaron, we are constantly on edge. Duplass returned to the role in the 2017 sequel, where he's just as playfully sinister as before. Number 9. Gerald's Game. Before director Mike Flanagan gave us the excellent Netflix original horror series The Haunting of Hill House, he proved himself on the streaming service with his adaptation of the Stephen King novel Gerald's Game. Just the basic premise is enough to give you nightmares. A couple, Gerald and Jesse, attempt to rekindle their relationship with a romantic weekend getaway. Unfortunately, things go from bad to worse when Gerald has a fatal heart attack, leaving Jesse handcuffed to the bed. Equal parts fascinating and terrifying, the film is a psychological horror that stands out from the crowd. Number 8. Hush. We often overlook the importance of sound in cinema. In the horror genre specifically, it provides a particularly interesting opportunity to get creative in terms of scares. In the 2016 film Hush, also directed by Flanagan, a deaf-mute woman named Maddie, living in an isolated area, becomes the target of a nameless male killer. It's a rather straightforward slasher or home invasion film, but a very well-executed one that's further elevated by the performances of his two leads. Further distinguishing the film is its handling of sound and silence, which it uses to crank up the tension to a fever pitch. Number 7. Fear Street Part 2. Netflix's 2021 Fear Street trilogy was a horror fan's dream, or maybe nightmare. Based on R.L. Stine's book series of the same name, the entire trilogy is a must-watch. Part 1, 1994, is the familiar 90s teen slasher, while Part 3, 1666, fits more in the rustic folk horror aesthetic. In Part 2, 1978, we see the events of the Camp Nightwing massacre play out. It's a bloody good time, especially if you're nostalgic for classic killer summer camp films like Friday the 13th and Sleepaway Camp. Maybe it's the woods or the axe-wielding madmen, but Part 2, 1978, is definitely the scariest of the three. Number 6. Veronica. Young teen girl, Ouija board, demonic possession, an alleged true story. Veronica is a film with a lot of familiar elements. But trust us when we say that in the case of this particular movie, those add up to something memorable and truly terrifying. A Spanish-language film set in Madrid in 1991, Veronica follows the titular heroine as she succumbs to the influence of a demonic force after partaking in a seance during a solar eclipse. The relationship between Veronica and her siblings gives the film a real emotional core, while director Paco Plaza's experienced hand ensures a heavy and consistent dose of fear. Number 5. The Ritual. Based on the 2011 novel by Adam Neville, The Ritual takes us to the Swedish wilderness, where four friends Phil, Dom, Hutch, and Luke go hiking in honor of their deceased friend Rob. Luke is plagued by nightmares, replaying the night of Rob's unexpected death, which he witnessed and could have prevented. The journey becomes more challenging as the lads argue, sustain injuries, and take shortcuts that just get them lost. With a supernatural creature hunting them down in a forest littered with mysterious symbols of witchcraft, they must do whatever they can to survive. Number 4. It Follows. It Follows manages to be completely original while channeling the classic teen slashers of the past. When it came out in 2014, it was immediately one of the best horror films of the year or even the decade. The plot is simple. A supernatural entity follows you until it's passed to another person through sex. And when Jay contracts this supernatural STI from Hugh, she and her friends have to figure out how to stop it. However, Jay is the only one who sees its many forms walking toward her. There's some seriously chilling imagery here that'll stay with you for a while. Number 3. The Conjuring. Directed by James Wan, Conjuring is a critically acclaimed horror film that has since given birth to a movie universe. After having left his mark on the splatter genre with the influential Saw franchise, Wan gave us one of the best haunted house films in recent decades. The Conjuring follows real-life husband and wife paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, played to perfection by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. The story takes them to Harrisville, Rhode Island, where the Perriman family are being targeted by a malevolent spirit. It's an old-fashioned horror film that nicely balances scares with anxious anticipation. Wan followed it up with The Conjuring 2, set in England, which is scary in equal measure. Number 2, His House. This isn't exactly your typical haunted house movie. South Sudanese refugees Bol and Ryo, Re-AWL, settle into their new home outside of London. And while there's a sense of relief that they now have a roof over their heads, it's hard to adjust to this new life for reasons both realistic and terrifying. His House explores the immigrant experience and the harrowing journey of asylum seekers. But to make things worse, they have to fight against the spirits within the walls of their home. It's a hell of a debut from Remy Weeks, who perfectly blends real social issues with genuine horror. Before you continue, please make sure to subscribe our channel and ring the bell to get notified our latest videos. Number 1. The Exorcist. It's considered one of, if not the scariest films of all time, and rightfully so. The Exorcist is the terrifying story of 12-year-old Regan, who becomes possessed by a demon, and the literal hell she and her mother Chris go through. Many moments in the film are iconic, and if you haven't actually seen it, chances are you know about it. The crawling, head twisting, projectile vomiting, and the vulgar insults directed at the priest have all become well-known in pop culture. The Exorcist shocked audiences back when it was released in 1973, and it still holds up today. That's it for today. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.